Hello and welcome. I am super excited that Spellbinders is going to be releasing wax seals. I didn't get a chance to get the actual wax seal products from Spellbinders, so I'm going to use what I have, and you'll find available in the Spellbinders shop a lot of similar items available, so everything's gonna work the exact same way, and I'm waiting even myself for it to release so that I can actually pick up some of the beautiful wax seal designs that they have. There is a starter kit that will come with this stand here that you are meant to place over a votive candle. The candle is going to be what melts your wax beads. And then you have this bead warmer spoon where you can drop your wax beads into that, and the holder will keep that a safe distance away from the candle flame. That way it doesn't scorch or melt your wax too quickly to where maybe some of it gets overly done before all of it melts. But what you want to do is just make sure that your wax is fully melted, because you don't want any clumps or anything in your stamped impression. And you want to work on a heat-proof surface. So I'm working on a silicone mat. I folded my mat over just so that I can have a double layer of it. And then you can just pour your wax into a puddle and drop your wax seal right into that puddle. I kind of like if it's not completely centered, but that's totally up to you. I would just let it drop, and then leave it, because you don't want to nudge it or move it around too much, because you might not get as crisp of an impression as you might like. So what I'm doing is I am cleaning and wiping in between, because I want to show you sort of different color combinations. But if I were doing this, just for my own personal use, what I would normally do is I would make a bunch in the same color. And, that way I don't have to waste the wax that is at the bottom, because it's hard to pour every last drop of wax out. But I want to show that it's really easy to clean up just before the wax completely dries. You can just wipe it with a paper towel. And I quite like the look of that marbled look of different colors. And that's why I've dropped in it turns out to be 3 different colors, but I'm using 4 beads total, because I feel like that makes a nice size seal. It's enough for you to get a little bit of that rounded edge beyond the metal of the seal. So I quite like that balance, but you can play around to see what look you like. Maybe you prefer 3, maybe you prefer 5. So that's totally up to you. And you can play with mixing colors and trying that out, or just do a single color. So lots of different options. And you can play with if you're mixing colors, kind of the order of the colors. So I put 2 beads of a neutral color, and then 1 bead that's lighter than that color, and 1 bead that's darker than that color, on opposite ends of each other. So how you place your beads might also kind of impact the look or the design that you end up with as well. So definitely play around with that. I would totally recommend picking up an extra spoon, bead warmer spoon, because I only have the one, and I find that so that I don't have to maybe clean in between each go, it would be nice to have 2, so that I can have a second spoon kind of loaded up with the colors that I want, and then I can drop that. When I go to pour this spoon, for example, I can be dropping a second spoon onto the holder and having that start to melt as I pour and set this one. So I feel like if I had to, I could be a little bit more efficient with making these. And as well, I can be saving a little bit on the wax because then I don't have to clean in between each. And that's why I'm not cleaning this last spoon, because I will probably use that again and use the same color. The actual seal designs, Spellbinders is going to release so many different designs, and they are gorgeous. And what's great is they'll each have their own handle. So you don't have to do what I had to do here, where I had to unscrew the metal portion of the wax seal, the portion that actually puts the impression into the wax. And I feel like if they all had handles, it would be so much better, because then I don't have to fiddle around with that, because I was super worried about moving it and accidentally somehow, nudging it so that it made the image actually blurry. That didn't ultimately happen, but I was really concerned about that as I was unscrewing the handle. So I really like that you're going to get a handle on each of the wax seal designs. So in this release, there are some gorgeous stamp and die sets as well. And this one's really cool. This one lets you create faux wax seals if you don't want to create the real ones out of wax. There are 3 stamps that you can layer, and they help you to kind of build up the actual impression of sort of a 3D look almost of the wax seal. So you have this little bit of a blob here, and then the second layer starts to add some depth to it. And then there's a third stamp that adds even more dimension and depth. So you can layer these up, stamp them, and just have them ready to go. There are several different designs and sentiments that you can actually stamp into the center of your faux wax. And so it gives you almost the same look as a real wax seal, only you can just stamp it out and then it's completely flat as well. And so I chose one. I think there's one, there are some really nice ones actually. There's a thanks one, there's a birthday one, that's the one that I went with. And there's one that says handmade, which is really nice. So lots of fantastic designs, and they'll all fit sort of in that center area there. So I like for the sentiment to be nice and dark, so I did stamp it multiple times. And the other option that you have, there's also a set of dies that are included, and you can there's one die that will cut out your stamped wax seal, but then there are 2 other dies that essentially do something similar to the layered stamping. You can just layer die cuts to achieve a similar look. And there's a circle die that helps you to cut out the sentiment, stamped sentiment. So lots of different options for how to assemble this. And what I did was I put some double-sided adhesive on the back of this, so that basically now my wax seal is a peel and stick, basically a sticker. So you could actually stamp out a bunch of these and maybe even include them in a set of cards, for example. And that way, whoever you gift, the card set to, they'll have some wax seals for sealing up their envelopes too. Now, I'll be using, the wax seal that I stamped, as well as one of the wax seals made out of wax, to create some cards with. And what I'm going to do is actually create the same style of card, but one using the faux set of wax seals and one using the real wax seals. Another die set in this collection is this. It's a really cool die that actually cuts out basically fake threads, or if you were to use twine, for example, to wrap around your card panel, it sort of gives that same look or that same impression. And I've cut that out of silver mirror card. And there are several different floral sprays that you can purchase so that you can create this look that I'm going for here, of a little bit of a bouquet that is sealed, bunched up at the bottom and sort of sealed with or held together with a wax seal. And this particular one that I have here, it does have separate die plates for the little flowers and as well the centers of the flowers. I won't be using the center of the flowers, and instead I'm going to finish that off with some Nouveau drops. Here's the die cut that simulates the sort of the threads that you might want to wrap around your panel. And the reason why it's so incredibly long is so that you can use this on different size cards. And you can use it in any orientation, whether it's portrait or landscape. So if I wanted to turn this card and make it a landscape card, the fake threads are going to be long enough to stretch across that. And so the final step was to just add my faux wax seal sticker to that center area. And I'm going to do the same card design, but I'm using real thread, silver thread. And I'll wrap that around my card panel here, which I've embossed with a 3D embossing folder. This is actually one of my favorite 3D embossing folders. It's that sort of pin button cushion look. It's really, really lovely. I always have a hard time wrapping thread. I know some people do it so easily, or at least it looks really easy when they do it. But I always struggle a little bit getting my thread exactly where I want. I find it helpful to tape it from the back, just to anchor it as I continue to wrap it around the front. And so I'll go ahead and then attach this panel to my card base. Now, the nice thing about having the die cut version is that if you are kind of designing on the fly and you think you might like to add some thread, but you've already glued down your first sort of panel, you can still add your faux threads to the top of that and just snip it off at the ends. Whereas with real thread, you don't really have the option to just snip it off at the ends, really. So I think, having that die is just it's so unique and so different. And the other really cool die set is this set of squiggles, sort of just abstract flower. And there's actually 4 dies. There's a flower, a leaf design, and then just some really, really abstract squiggles. It's really, really cool set of dies that I think just help to finish off this little bouquet here, and it just makes the whole thing look a little bit interesting. I'm using some Dream Drops, which also has a really nice iridescent finish. And here's a final look at my 2 cards. So this one uses the faux threads and the faux wax seal. And this card is similar, except that it uses a real wax seal and real threads, silver thread. So here's a good close-up look of the 2. So really, really fantastic to be able to now create the real thing and create faux wax seals. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to catch new videos as I post them, subscribe to my channel and ring that notification bell. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.